G'day guys, welcome to this week's weekly developer update. I'm CW, and joining me once again we have Armeanio. Welcome back, mate.
It's good to be back.
Yes, I caught the AMA last night my time, and you rattled off a lot of things going on in the ecosystem, and one thing I'd like to sort of highlight, I saw a tweet from Second Time Lucky Mining, I believe is the Twitter handle, and Floorboard, I think, also. They've been interacting on Sigmaspace, so the P2P lending platform that's been built out on Ergo, and maybe we can talk about P2P and the Sigmaspace kicking off things here on Ergo.
Sure. So it's a unique setup that I guess works well in the extended UTXO model, where you get peer-to-peer smart contracts, peer-to-peer agreements, right? Most people are pretty familiar with peer-to-pool lending, which, sometimes can be very beneficial because you have liquidity depth, right?
Yep.
But peer-to-peer lending is a little bit different, where you kind of develop, I guess, a Wild West market that tends to form its own rates, right?
Yep. What's
attractable? What durations are people interested in? And so people have the ability to, as the person that's the lender, set their own terms. The borrower has the ability to accept or reject, what they want to do. And so you always have to find consensus in the middle, which is kind of fascinating. Especially as, we've seen our first SIG USD USDT pair. Suddenly lending kind of gets interesting for miners, right? Where you have this ability to mine ERG, and you can potentially earn a return with it, right? And you set your own terms in terms of the collateralization, the duration of it, and you see if anybody's interested, right? And so it kind of creates this organic market. It's interesting to watch how things pop up. One unique thing about Sigmaspace is you have like this creative collateral ability, right? Where you don't necessarily need to use just ERG. You could use comment and an NFT and, whatever you want to kind of package into a basket and see if anybody's interested. So there's a lot of interesting, long-term use cases people can come up with for that kind of thing. It just needs creativity, and it probably needs, some education for users that are not really familiar with, to understand what risks they may be taking on, and, what the rewards are and how to manage and, ultimately use that to their advantage.
Yeah, most definitely. Very well said. Just the couple of conversations that I've seen people having in regards to kind of taking a long position or a short position by basically requesting SIG USD, putting your ERG up as collateral, and selling said USD and buying more ERG. So you're actually sort of leveraging your ERG position. One thing you did mention, obviously, there is we've got the SIG USD USDT pair on 7Seas exchange now. So miners then have the ability to use another scenario to put their ERG to work, borrow, and then if they wanted to sort of liquidate that SIG USD, they could do it on the USDT pair and buy Bitcoin or something, but then you're still holding two assets in the hope of appreciation of ERG, for instance. So you've got ERG sitting as collateral against this loan that someone's taken out, and also you then can leverage to buy other tokens as well, not just within ERG, but external now as well.
Yeah, a large part of crypto trading, for people that actively trade all the time, is just finding mismatched pricing and arbitraging across that. So, then on the other side, you have a new, SIG USD pair where you may be able to come into ERG at a discount and, redeem it and move it around or put it on the DEX. It opens a lot of potential avenues for, creative people that are paying attention to fluctuations in pricing. Exciting to see.
If there's a profit there to be taken, someone take advantage of it, whether it's minute or something that's a little bit more juicy, someone will sort of take that arbitrage opportunity and favor from it.
Yeah, the one thing that you got to be careful with in DeFi, everybody out there, is over leveraging, right?
I think we've seen the outcome of that.
Yeah, we do tend to exist in a volatile market, and so sometimes, you see massive over leveraging. When we get the hot side of the cycle, and then massive deleveraging on the other side of the cycle, and just manage your risks, trade well. That's all I can say.
Very well said. Just quickly, also, you did mention pool lending, so we might touch on that a little bit.
Sure.
The guys from Duck Pools, they've just basically sort of wrapped up their beta, and they're just packaging everything now for a mainnet full release. So we'll hopefully see that in the coming days or weeks.
Yeah, one unique thing about pool lending is you have, let's just say on average, you get more collateral available, right? Yeah. And, then that group, the pool tends to set their own rate and return. And, it is pretty attractive on, let's say, the bigger fish side for the most part. Because if you're in the pool, you're making, a larger part of the return. And if you're borrowing from the pool, you generally will have more, borrowing power that you can flex. And, on the peer-to-peer side, I think a lot of small custom duration type of thing where people, kind of pick their own risk is a little bit more interesting. They both have their use cases. One's not necessarily, better than the other. I think that there's trade-offs to consider. I think that probably peer-to-peer might make sense for smaller parties, so it might be more beneficial for, let's say, a miner to say, okay, well, what duration do I feel safe with? And kind of pick their own terms.
Yeah, that's it. All right, mate. Well, let's jump into the developer update.
Sure.
So here we are, kicking things off. We've got Grand Gambit, I believe.
All right, so it looks like Grand Gambit has been working on Plinko. It's basically ready to launch. Had to postpone it yesterday because Coutlier wouldn't stop winning. So I was afraid something was wrong and had to recheck everything. Well, that's what happens when you open it up to degen testing, right? Sometimes they just on a roll. Looks like new Erg native token listing is developed and ready. Waiting for confirmation to list it. So that's awesome.
Yeah, nice to see how that going up. And it just kind of popped into my mind then, Coutlier with the first Comet raffle, winning that one. It kind of just gave me flashbacks. Okay, next up we have greenhat. And on his progress, he's fixed incorrect method IDs for the AVL tree and missing type specialization in the property call deserialization. So you can see that on the PR 696 on the Sigma Rust repo. There's the add error message in register value, so unpassable for registers passing fail, and we'll show it on the writer-based serialization error. There's also a check for the node if the wallet is in rescan mode on app launch. Has added instructions to extract reward tokens from the Oracle box first before transferring the Oracle token to a different address. And a work in progress is the off-chain code for Oracle reward tokens buyback from the LP. Shout out to Kushti and Morphic. He's discovered a pretty severe issue with the register passing. So what are your thoughts? Is there anything that he's missing? And next up, it's just a fix for the rest of the newly discovered issues, i.e. number 262, and the test for new governance, so simplified voting in the gold Erg pool on testnet.
All right.
Scrolling down, we have MHS.
All right, looks like Rosen Bridge has a pretty thick update. Looks like on the public beta launch, that's They're kind of winding down the semi-public mode. So I know those of you that, were participating, I hope you all, unbridged, withdraw your tokens. If you haven't, hopefully by the time this comes out, you can hop in and do that real quick. Looks like for the full public test, they're going to be adding Comet and Hosky tokens. So those of you that want to play with the public test, hopefully you don't put too many meme tokens, let's say, at risk. One nice thing about using those type of tokens for this type of testing is, you can bridge 10 Comet, 10 Hosky, and your exposure is pretty low. Looks like Rosen has been dealing with the Cardano token registry to submit the test wrapped Erg token, so the Cardano wallets will be able to correctly show the decimals. Then the next update is about the Rosen Bridge guard service. So it looks like a refactor is in progress. There are some problems with Jest, therefore we migrated the test suite to Vitest, which also has some problems but easier to solve. Currently, the event processor module of guard is under refactoring. The refactor process, some updates may be needed in other projects, specifically in Rosen Chains, which for now, Rosen Chains / Abstract Chain and Rosen Chains / Ergo are updated according to the needs. With the Rosen Bridge scanner, they've improved memory usage of WebSocket scanners by setting an upper bound for Q. This way, the Q reaches an upper bound, scanner will stop after processing boxes, it'll start again. And with Rosen Chain, started implementing the Cardano chain. According to abstract classes, tests will be added simultaneously.
Another substantial update from MHS and the team there. Okay, next we have Kushti. And then on the protocol and reference client development side, we saw the release of node version 5.0.9 this week. It's also preparing version 5.0.10 candidate. So it's reviewing different PRs. Two's already been merged into that already. There's another part of the bootstrapping with the UTXO set snapshot code merged into 5.0.10. There's also extracting more code for the bootstrapping with the UTXO UTXO snapshot into PR 1985. So after that PR, it's only the networking code that should be left. I finally got there in the end.
You got there.
And then on to Dexy and other stuff. He's polished some contracts and made another contract redeployment. The first version of the backend has been deployed. A new version of the SDK is released according to the latest changes of the protocol. And the first Mint transaction was broadcast in testnet and has provided a link for that.
Awesome. All right, looks like next we got Luivatra, the Paideia MVP. He's worked with greenhat on resolving the issue with register of type callbox. Seems to be all good now. It's been working on getting the contracts ready for beta. I've scraped the vote box, so user will now vote with their stake key directly. The vote will be stored in the proposal as usual, but also in the user's stake record. This allows participation-based staking rewards profit sharing. If a DAO wants, they can use it to incentivize participation in the DAO governance and deter users from just staking their tokens and not being bothered to vote. Hope to finish the beta contracts during this and next week and deploy the week after. So I would expect 2 weeks of internal testing before we can have a thought-out public testing. Awesome. That's actually a kind of neat way to incentivize participation.
Yeah, most definitely. It's pretty cool, interesting, just seeing, like, this is just Paideia, for instance, just a development process coming along and sort of the methodical work that Louis does each week and the significant updates. Really like following Louis's work.
Yeah. Looks like the Index Node Explorer. He's took on a little side project to get some experience with React and front-end development, showing transactions in a distilled way, only showing changes in balances, not actual UTXOs, and using the index node as a direct backend. We'll post a link to a Git when it is somewhat working. Maybe someone gets inspired and makes something out of it. So that's awesome to see.
Yeah, we'll be able to see that a little bit later. He actually posted a screenshot and the link a little bit later on in the update. Okay, so next up we have PGR 456 and an update for Sigmaspace. So he's able to continue work on his alternative full implementation of the UI indexer backend API for his Explorer instance. He's currently working on the indexer part. For that, he's been using the C bindings of Sigma Rust and started building a wrapper in Golang around it. That's provided a link. It's still a work in progress. So if someone has any experience in Golang, especially in CGO, it would really help if they could review it and check for possible memory leaks. And then on the Ergo side, still working on separating the NIPBOW types and lower LVL types into separate modules. So the circular dependencies are the biggest issue here, and is still looking for a solution. Took some time to get used to Scala. Sigmaspace is pretty interesting because that's basically another instance of an Explorer itself outside of sort of the core offering that Ergo devs have provided previously. So it's great to see.
That's nice to see. That's a dependency. It'd be great to see multiple instances of popping up.
Yep.
All right. Looks like LowKeyNerd with Blitz trading card game had their first community playtest event. It went really well. Looks like we even have the OpenAI bot dropping a summary. So looks like the goal is to create a multiplayer trading card game that integrates with various blockchains. So you can hop on and watch them put together one of the last pieces of the puzzle, matchmaking.
Yep.
It's pretty awesome.
Yep, most definitely. And mix updates as well, like just methodically building. How long's it been going for now? It'd be 18 months, coming up 2 years, I'd probably say.
But it's beautiful what he's putting together, to be honest.
Yep, most definitely. Very passionate person. Okay, next it looks like we have Pulsarz and ErgoMonitor. So added Sigmafy tracking of new loan requests to his Twitter bot. So currently not posting to Twitter yet, not Twitter, to Telegram. But posting whale alerts to Telegram and looking into directly to the Sigmafy Telegram channel. Will require to implement partial Sigma tree, a Sigma type deserializer in C. So it's a bit hacky now, but it works, and learning a lot along the way. But since this update, we have seen it's actually gone live on Twitter and been some pretty substantial loan requests popping up on there with pretty nice interest rates. I think there was one there for 50% or something, so of the actual collateral of the loan amount, which was pretty interesting.
All right, looks like who's next? Marty?
It looks like Marty, yeah.
All right, so it looks like Marty's putting together an NFT marketplace called BlockArt. Pack sales working. Can now open packs from the front end, receiving a randomly selected token from the sale wallet. Token V2 displays are working, and it differentiates packs, collection, art, and audio tokens. Fungible art tokens are recognized. Looks like the MVP beta testing will be for the next couple of weeks. That's going to be interesting whenever you have those randomly selected tokens from a sale wallet. You could do some neat things with that, especially, the ErgoPad crew could throw in some stake keys with different, allocations, and suddenly, buy
like
an
a
NFT.
raffle sort of lottery sort of setup.
Yeah, it's like a lottery staking, it's a fun way to make, launch a little bit more interesting, I guess.
Yeah. People try their luck and might hit it big.
Yeah.
Okay, next we have Ilya from Spectrum. Look at this block of text.
Dropping a book on you.
Okay, on the Spectrum core side, the protocol implementation, there's a spec for the signature aggregation protocol based on the multisig handle implementation, so P2P signature aggregation, the primitives contribution verification, multisig aggregation has been sorted. The protocol development, so it's opening a consensus group. The description of randomness generation mechanism based on the verifiable random functions, or VRF for short. It's decentralized random source is needed for a fair consensus group and slot leader selection during the lottery. An approach based on generating random numbers using the VRFs fit their security and performance demands and has already been successfully applied in other projects. There's a lottery protocol description. They've decided to build their own protocol on the proof of stake concept. Each time interval called epoch, a new consensus group is selected according to their stakes. Each slot, so it's short units of epoch, has its own leader, which is not known beforehand, and it's also selected according to the size of their stake, and reliability of the results are validated by all protocol participants. This scheme, inspired by the Cardano ecosystem, allows the protocol to execute without delay and with minimal communication between participants. So there's eliminating a validator bottleneck. So the description of the features related to the process of syncing shards with updates from all local consensus groups to the main superchain. Opening consensus groups section describes protocol flow within one committee related to the connected blockchains. Thus, once all the events are collected on the particular blockchain by separate committees, they should be synced. The incentive scheme is needed to motivate participants share updates from their local blockchains. We introduce a scheme that ensures the optimal strategy for local committee leaders is to share their updates with other members as quickly as possible. Any participant selected according to their stake who has collected updates can add them to the superchain. Therefore, forks are a normal part of the protocol, and they describe the main rules for resolving them and synchronizing the reliability factor between connected blockchains. There's a little bit there to process, so if you want to read up about that, there's a couple of links there and sink your teeth in.
Yeah, it looks like Spectrum Core, their protocols coming together. All right, on to MGpai with Lilium. Looks like the testnet is live for public testing. So those of you that are interested in helping them out, hop on, try to break it, give them feedback. That type of community engagement is huge for kind of refining the user experience and finding any bugs or little tweaks that can kind of push it to the main net. Looks like docs for testing has been dropped. So if you're going to test, hop onto their GitHub. Looks like they're going to try to push to mainnet next week. That's awesome. And with ErgoNames, the off-chain bot is a work in progress.
Nice to see that Lilium's almost there, and ErgoNames. I believe they've provided a couple of updates, and they were close to releasing, and then Cheese, I think it was, threw a spanner in the works, and basically they rewrote their whole DApp in regards to implementing AVL trees. So yeah, they're back there and grinding away, which is good to see. Okay, next up we have Analog Ergo. So the automated contract upload and funding from the GUI is completed on the EVM responder side of the protocol using Homicity. Yeah, it's a work in progress framework. It's working on automated contract upload from the Ergo script initiator side of the protocol. It's created a flow chart diagrams detailing the atomic swap formula. So you can jump on there. It's a sketchboard. The GUI client business logic as well as progress marked by checkboxes or crosses. There's a couple of links there if you want to jump on there and check it out.
All right. Let's see what's next. We got Noah dropping the update that there's a UTXO Alliance meeting that I have to go to in, 8 hours? Got to wrap up my work and get to sleep.
That's it, mate. So just touching on that, a little bit of discussion around IAG's Hydra and potential paths to port it to other chains, mainly Ergo. So it'd be interesting to see the outcome of that meeting.
Yeah. All right. Looks like we have Vein Unreal as well.
Oh, yep.
So, looks like in the past 3 weeks, the auction house team has worked closely with the volunteer artists who have participated in the first phase of the new auction house release. 49 issues have been reported so far, and 41 have been resolved. We appreciate the community supports. That's awesome. So it looks like the major issues that came up, we'll give them a rundown. They added banners to the UI, so users will get temporary notifications, errors, and warnings from those banners. They improved the notification panel. New notifications will be pulled every few seconds, and unread notifications will be marked as read once they're read by the user. Requested by the community, added the Discord alongside Twitter and Instagram for artists' social media accounts. Moved users' listings, minted artworks, and collections to separate tabs in their profiles for more clarity. Fixed collection statistics such as volumes to have the right amount. This is requested by the community, added a current bidder of an auction to the auctions page. Added a few extra tool tips to a few places, such as trait types, for more user information. Fixed a few bugs regarding bidding and listing processes reported by the community. Separated different types of traits on artwork's page. Artists can connect to their Twitter accounts. That's pretty awesome. And it looks like a few things are being done which are expected to be finished in the next few days. Then they're ready for mainnet release. So that's pretty awesome, having artists come beat it up and come up with 49 different issues or potential improvements. I love seeing that. So everybody out there that wants to test, we've got a lot of tests going on, and that type of feedback is really valuable.
Yeah, exactly. And we've kind of spoken about this a little bit also, and varying levels of experience is greatly appreciated also, because someone from like a developer level thinks a certain has a certain thought logic in the way things should be processed, and people who just want to be a user and come on and utilize the platform, that logic may not necessarily align with the user experience. So it's all extremely beneficial.
It's super helpful. You have like buyers, sellers, users, and we get these testers that just kind of crash around and break something that nobody would think to click, right? So please help.
Yeah, exactly. And just scrolling down a little bit further, just what we touched on earlier in regards to Luivatra and the front end side of things for the indexer visualization tool that he's working on. So you can see the screenshot there. So it highlights different addresses, smart contracts, different token amounts, etc., etc. Is also setting up the link as well. So if anyone wants to jump on there and take it from where he's got it progressed. Interesting, basically interacting directly with the node indexer and having all these calls and just pulling directly from the node. It's pretty interesting.
Yeah, I like that way how he ends it. I've now spent a day in the sunlight at the front end, and I've gotten a sunbird, so I'm going back to hide in the back end. That's a great tool that he put together. I'm sure some front end devs are going to be like, "Oh, that was built by somebody who builds backends.
But
That's
it shows like a nice little proof of concept there. So someone can has a little visualization, and if they want to tart it up a little, then they can. I like that. Got a bit of a sunburn. All right. Well, that sums up this weekly developer update, mate. Another significant one, and people are having a lot of progress as well. Like you mentioned just briefly there, or significantly there on the auction house. There's a lot of testing going on in the ecosystem. So a lot of these things that people have been building over the last 2 years, 18 months, 12 months sort of thing are all starting to come live and be released on mainnets, which is pretty interesting.
Yeah, open source development is a team sport. So you don't have to ask permission. Hop on and help us test things, help us build things. I think the community does a pretty good job at that. But, those of you that may be watching this and have never even tried, it's pretty cool to just use that as a learning experience.
Yeah, once again, that reiterates the fact of usability, having a simple UI where someone who may not necessarily interacted with any DeFi platform, for instance, coming in and seeing the user experience from someone who has that level of experience. So basically want to green button everything as much as possible, make it sort of usability for your grandmother can basically jump on and have a crack and see what it can come up with. So yeah, by all means, jump on, try and break things, and definitely provide feedback. It goes a long way in the ecosystem.
Yeah, it does. And then we got to teach grandma how to get on the social channels and let everybody know what she found.
Oh, grandma's smashing away on Sigmaspace and then tweeting about it.
Yeah. I'll post that recommendation to GitHub.
All right, guys.
No, I do think that, even if you can get on basic social channels, you can definitely just say, hey, this is what I want to see. This is what I want to change. This isn't working. Pretty easy.
Yep, exactly. So a lot of the projects now have their own Telegram channels, Discord channels. You can jump into the main groups and people will direct you wherever you have to go. So definitely reach out and the questions will be answered there. So everyone, thanks again for tuning in. It's been a pleasure bringing the developer update once again with you, Joe. So we'll hopefully see you next week.
Yeah, I'll be here.
All right, guys, take care. Have a good one.